If we're going to build a more sustainable Egypt, then we all have to be involved, all of us as individuals. But on the other hand, we have to recognize that there's a tight coupling between our behavior as individuals and the way we set up our urban spaces and the way we set up our infrastructure. For example, Europe. Most cities were built and developed during the Middle Ages, during the Renaissance, during the Victorian era, before the era of the automobiles. So they have narrow roads, they're meant to accommodate walking and slower means of transportation. Things are close together. And during the 1970s, when the oil crisis hit, most European countries, lacking any reserves of fossil fuels, recognized that they had to redesign their cities in such a way that they would support energy-efficient lifestyles. On the other hand, in the United States, cities were built during the era of the automobile. There are highly centralized shopping areas, shopping malls with huge parking lots. Things are spread apart. Commercial and residential areas are far apart. It's difficult to get any place without a car. Now, in the United States, where for many years there was a lot of resistance to changing this unsustainable way of life, there's been a big transformation in the last 10 to 15 years. So there people have been motivated to change the way their cities are set up by their health. People were coming to my age in their 40s and 50s, and they're going to their doctors with high blood pressure, with heart problems, with diabetes, overweight. And their doctors are telling them, you must get more exercise. And by this part of their lives, they're not able to do sports anymore. So they have to look for something that's fairly light exercise, and the logical thing is walking. So many people decided, well, I'd like to walk to the local grocer. And they found that their city had been built in such a way that they were not allowed to walk. And that has changed the whole environment in the United States regarding discussions about development of cities. And now American cities are spending a lot of money to try to undo the damage that they did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now here in Egypt, we are potentially following the same mistaken path. That is, we're spending a lot of money on laying out our cities in such a way that we're going to have to undo that in the future. So I've given examples from the topic of transportation, but the same kinds of ideas apply to recycling, water use. So the real wonder of the ancient world here in Egypt was never the pyramids, it was the irrigation system in the Nile. Because we Egyptians have been dealing from the beginning with scarce water resources. So we need to recapture that spirit of working together and cooperating towards sustainable ways of organizing our society, organizing our urban spaces, organizing our infrastructure.